Hi guys, welcome to another video, and this is Functional Skills Maths Level 2 and GCSE Maths percentages. So I think I did this in week 3 for GCSE and week 5 for Level 2. You know, it's the same lesson essentially. The only difference is at the end there's going to be some extension questions which are slightly different. So I'm going to do a separate video for Level 2 extension questions and another separate video for the GCSE extension questions. So for this one, this is going to be the same for both lessons though. As always, if you're new to my videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like my video, and if you have any suggestions, do write a comment below. I am open to suggestions, and your feedback, your support is much appreciated. As always, you can download these notes from the link in the description below. And if you're part of my class, you should find these in Google Classroom already. Right, so hopefully by the end of the lesson, we're going to find percentage of a quantity, calculate amounts of increase and decrease, find the original amount given the final amount after a percentage change, which is also called reverse percentage, and you use percentages to solve problems in real life situations. Okay. So a bit of an introduction. Hopefully you know what percentage actually means. They're just a special kind of fraction out of 100. Yeah, percent literally means out of 100. Anything with cent in the name, things like century, centuries, 100 years, things like that. So definitely out of 100. So think of it as a special fraction, and even on the calculator as well, I don't use the percentage button at all. I've never used it. In fact, I use the fraction button, or even just divide by 100. Yeah. So for example, 20% literally means 20 out of 100, or 20 divide by 100. So we're going to do 7 types of percentage questions. These are the most likely questions that are going to come up in the exams. Converting fractions to percentages, finding the percentage of an amount, writing a number as a percentage of another, finding a new amount after a percentage change, increase or decrease, finding percentage change, and finding the original value, or reverse percentage. Okay, some of these types of questions also apply to fractions as well, so you could use the same method when you're dealing with fractions. Let's do the first example though. So converting fractions to percentages. This is a very simplified example, and we're going to do this with and without your calculator, because they're going to be different methods. You're going to use different methods for both, because I'm going to show you guys 2 different ways which will help you save time in the exam. So you're not going to use the same method for all of them all the time. You'll soon realize yourself as well that certain methods do work quicker than others, and can save you a lot of time. So let's have a look at this example. Tom did a maths test and got 60 out of 80 marks. Work out what his percentage pass mark was for this test. Remember to show you're working out. With the calculator, it's dead easy. All you do is just do your fraction, in this case 60 out of 80, and any fraction you just times by 100. Yeah, let's stick that in the calculator. Let's see what we get. So 60 divided by 80 times by 100, and you'll notice I'm using the divide button here, not the fraction button. So I literally did 60 divided by 80 times by 100 in one go, and it comes up as 75 on my screen, and that's going to be 75%. Yep, so that's my answer. Without my calculator, I could do the same and just simplify it. I'm going to show you a different method. So we've got 60 out of 80. Okay, what does percentage actually mean? Percentage means out of 100. So how do you get from out of 80 to out of 100? I'll tell you what, let's do out of 20 first. How do we get from this to this? So how do you get from 80 to 20? I'll have to divide it by 4. Yeah, so I'll have to do the same for the top as well. Divide that by 4. How many 4's go into that? Is 15. Okay, and then instead of out of 20, change it to out of 100 instead. So how do you get from 20 to 100, you can times by 5. Do the same for the top, times that by 5 as well. 5 times that is 75, which is 75%. So 2 different methods. You'll notice these methods are both different. Whichever you think is going to be the quicker one for you, and obviously with and without your calculator, you could have done it differently. You could have simplified your fraction and then times by 100. Similar to the first method here. Your choice really. Ideally you want to do it as quickly as possible. So it's completely your choice what you want to do. Just to practice those then, so there's some practice questions here. Do pause the video, and when you're ready, just unpause it. You'll notice some of them are with and some of them are without the calculators. So definitely do try them with and without your calculator, please. Yeah, just pause it, and when you're ready, unpause it. Let's go through these answers then. So practice question 1A, 5 over 30 with your calculator. Alright, so that's straightforward, hopefully. So that's going to be 5 over 30 times 100. Oh, and we need our answer correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, so let me just type it in my calculator. 5 divided by 30 times by 100. Oh, just be careful with this one. You might need to press SD a couple of times and you'll get 16.6 recurring. Okay, so to 2 decimal places, remember if you've seen my video for rounding, straight after the decimal point you've got 2 places. There's your dotted line. This one's going to decide what happens to the one previous, so that's going to go up because this is more than 5. That stays the same, that stays the same, that stays the same. Yeah, and don't forget the percentage sign. So it should be 16.67% for your answer for part A. Part B without your calculator. So, oh, this is a good one because I can see straight away 25 goes into 100 exactly 4 times. So all I need to do is times it by 4. Let's do the same for the numerator, and that's going to be 60. So that's 60% without your calculator. That's good, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a good one. Part C, with your calculator, again, should be straightforward. Let's just stick that in your calculator. 52 divided by 80 times by 100. I get exactly 65%. That's good. And the same one without, well, we should get 65% as our answer, but I'm going to do it without. I'm going to do the same again like I did before. I'm going to go from, instead of out of 80, I'm going to go to 20 instead. Yep, so that's divided by 4. Same for that. How many 4s go into that? That's going to be 1 and a 3, so that's 13. And then going from 20 to 100, I'll have to times by 5. Yep, so I'll have to do the same to that. And if you're not sure, if you can't do this in your head, just do it on the side. But it should be 65. Yeah, which is 65%. So we get the same answer. Yep, so as you can see, loads of different methods of doing these with and without your calculator. I think it's good to know all of these methods, definitely, just in case. Let's move on to the next section though, percentage of an amount. To work out the percentage of an amount, replace the word of with the multiplication sign. So there are 2 methods, 2 different methods you need to remember. Again, with and without your calculator. Work out the following. So let's do without. How to work out 15% of £46. So I'm going to show you a different method for something like this. I'm going to show you, I know a lot of people do like this method as well. So we want 15%, but let's work out 10% first. 10% is dead easy. All you do is just divide that by 10. So 10% of that is £4.60. Yeah, all you're doing is just moving the... technically, all the numbers move. I don't want to anger a lot of teachers out there that say, no, you're not moving the decimal point. Technically, what you're doing is you're moving all the numbers. The place value actually changes. But for the, quick way of doing it, you just make the decimal point move back once, and it lands between the 4 and the 6. So we get £4.60. Just a quick way of doing it. So that's 10%. Okay. We want 15%, so I need another 5%. So 5% will be half of that, which is £2.30. Yeah. So 15% is going to be both of these added together. And that's going to be £6.90. Yeah. So that's a really good way of doing it without your calculator. How to work out any percentage. You can use that as your building block. Yeah, so use 10%. If you work out 10%, you can work out pretty much any percentage it's asking for. If it's saying 20%, you double it. If it said 30%, you times by 3. If it said 11%, work out 10% first, then work out 1%. You divide it by 10 again and add it on. So you can work out any percentage using 10% as your building block. It's a really good way of doing it. With your calculator, it's dead easy. All you do is 15% of £46. You do literally how you say it, and how you say it is 15% of £46. Like we said here, replace the word of with the multiplication sign. So you're doing 15% of £46. Let's type that in the calculator, and you should get same answer. And it is, in fact, on my calculator, it looks like that on my calculator. But we know it's in pounds. And also, don't forget, you have to have that 0 on the end, otherwise you'd get marked down for that. Anything to do with money has to be to 2 decimal places. Yep, just to practice those then, do try the next ones yourself. Let's do these with the calculator, so you might as well do it with the calculator. If you really want to challenge yourself, you can try it without, but these are all functional skills style questions really. So yeah, just pause the video. When you're ready, unpause it. Let's go through these answers then. So Wayne bought an engagement ring for Tracy. Total cost for the ring was £420 plus VAT at 17.5%. Work out the cost of the ring. So hopefully you know about VAT. It's just a form of tax, and it's always added on. I mean, it even just says plus VAT, so definitely you have to add it on to the original amount. So we have to work out 17.5% of this and add it on for the total cost. So let's assume this is on the calculator paper. So I need 17.5% of £420. Ooh, I get, as a decimal, 73.5. And obviously this is in pounds. Don't forget the 0. Okay, so this is not your final answer. Don't forget, this is just 17.5% of the amount. We have to work out the total cost of the ring, so it's the original plus the VAT that we just worked out, which gives us final answer. Don't forget the pound sign, £493.50. Yep, including VAT. Yeah, it's a typical functional skills, kind of like a functional skills level 1 question, really. It's leaning towards level 1, maybe level 2 because of the 17.5%, which will, would put a lot of people off, I think. But yeah, Definitely a functional skills style question. Let's have a look at the next one. Practice question 2b. A full bottle of juice holds 1.2 litres. After pouring a glass, there is 744 millilitres left in the bottle. What percentage of the original amount is left in the bottle? So, okay. So there's 744 millilitres left. What percentage of the original amount is left? Well, 744 out of the original. Well, this is in millilitres, this is in litres. So let's change the litres to millilitres. Yeah, so that's going to be times by 1,000 because there's 1,000 millilitres in 1 litre. So that's going to be 1,200 millilitres. Okay, so what percentage of the original is left? So it's 744 out of 1,200. We want this as a percentage, just times by 100 to get our percentage. Let's type that in the calculator. Oh, we get exactly 62. Yeah, that's my answer, 62%. That's what we've got left. Let's move on to the next section, which is writing a number as a percentage of another number. Very similar to that previous question that we just did, in fact, very similar. Write the percentage as a fraction. Ensure the numerator and the denominator are in the same unit. Multiply the fraction by 100 to change into a percentage. Yeah, just how we did here. So, for example, express 40p as a percentage of £3.34. So again, that's in pence, that's in pounds. You're going to have to change that to... let's change that to pence. So that's going to be 334 pence. So it's 40 pence out of 334 pence as a percentage, times by 100. Let's type that in the calculator. 40 divided by 334 times 100. And we get 11.976. And I've got loads of decimals after that. Up to 3 decimal places is absolutely fine. So that's good enough. Let's put that. Yeah. If you did round it to a whole number, do say that you're rounding it to the nearest whole number. But in this case, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it like that. That's absolutely fine. Just out of interest, if you change the pence to pounds, you should get the same answer. In fact, you will get the same answer. Let me just show you. So it doesn't make a difference whether you change this to pounds or this to pence, just as long as they're both the same units. So 40 pence is the same as 0.40 pounds. Yep, so that's what it looks like in pounds. So now as a percentage, let's write it as a fraction first. That's still in pounds. Then times by 100, and you'll get the same answer. You'll notice. Try it on your calculator. You will get the same answer. Yeah. So it doesn't matter whether you change them both to pence or both to pounds. You just make sure that you've got the same units for both before you write it as a fraction, and then times by 100 to get it as a percentage. Just to practice some of those, then just pause the video, have a go over the next ones yourself, and yeah, again, you can use your calculators for these. It's only one question, I believe. Yeah, so just pause it, and when you're ready, unpause it. Let's go through these answers then. So part A, write 180 as a percentage of 80. Ooh, just be careful, which way round it goes. So you want 180 as a percentage of 80. So it's out of 80. So it's going to be this way round as your fraction. If you did it the other way round, it will be wrong. So just be careful. It's not always the case where you've got the smaller number at the top and the bigger number at the bottom. It's not always the case. Always look what it's out of. Yeah, this is your big clue right here to tell you what your denominator is. Yeah, so in this case 80 is at the bottom. Let's multiply by 100. Let's type that in the calculator. And we get 225%. Part B, there are 20 students in a class. If 12 of them turned up for a lesson today, what percentage of the students turned up for today's lesson? So we've got 12 out of 20. Yeah, what's that as a percentage? Let's do it without the calculator. Times by 5. Same here. It's going to be 60%, isn't it? Yeah, even if you did it with your calculator, obviously you should get the same answer. Part C, work out 40 as a percentage of 10. Again, it's going to be out of 10, so it's 40 out of 10 as a percentage. That's going to be 400, isn't it? 400% as your answer. Again, if you did it the other way around and you got a different answer, if you got 25%, you're wrong. Yeah, it should be 400%. Let's move on to section 4, finding the amounts after a percentage change. So find the change or increase or decrease, sometimes it's called, and then you add the increase or subtract the decrease. Right. So these are like typical functional skills style questions, you know, where they're increasing the amount or decreasing the amount. You should have to make sure you answer the question which bit it's asking for. Let's have a look at this example. Toaster is reduced in price by 40% in the sales. It originally cost £68. What is the new price of the toaster? Right, so the original price was £68. So we need to work out 40% of £68, and then because it's a reduction, it's going to take it away from £68. Yeah, and that should be our new sale price. Okay, so let's do it. I'm going to show you two different ways, in fact. So like I said before, let's work out 40% of £68. Yeah, let's do that in the calculator. That gives me, in pounds, £27.20. Yeah, don't forget the 0. On my calculator it comes up as 27.2, but obviously in pounds it looks like this. And it's reduced in price, so I have to take it away from the original, so I have to do 68 minus that to get my new sale price. So 68 minus my previous answer. And again on my calculator it looks like 40.8. You'll have to put the 0 yourself. So this is the new price of the toaster, yeah, after the discount. So that's one way of doing it. Okay, I'm going to show you another way which might be quicker, in fact. And also this second method links into you know, when we do reverse percentages later on, which is essential for not only GCSE but functional skills level 2, definitely is very, very important. It does come up quite a lot. So when you reduce something by 40%, what percentage have you actually got? You're left with 60%, isn't it? Yeah, so this is 100%. If you work out 60% of this, you should get your answer straight away in one step, because this was in 2 steps, wasn't it? Yeah, first you work out 40%, then you take it away. In one step you can work out 60% of the amount, and you should get the same answer. Stick it in your calculator and you will get the same answer, £40.80 in one step. Yeah, so always ask yourself, what percentage are you actually working out, or what percentage do you have? We want 60% of the original. Yeah, so 60% technically is doing it this way. It's a really good way of doing it, and you know, it could save you a bit of time as well, maybe save you a few seconds in the exam, which can be very, very, very important. Okay, so just to practice those, you know, you can do it either the first way or the second way, whichever way. Do use your calculators for these and have a go over the next ones yourself. Pause the video, and when you're ready, do unpause it. Let's go for these answers then. So hats increased in price by 20%. It originally cost £12. What is the new price? So this is increased by 20%. So I'm going to do it the quick way. So I'm going to have 120% if it increases by 20%. So 120% of 12. This should give me my answer straight away, which is £14.40. Yeah. So if you did it the other way, where you worked out 20% and then added it on, you should still get the same answer. It's absolutely fine. You know, you don't have to do it this way. As long as you got the same answer, that's the main thing. Practice question 4b, car which originally cost £4,000 is reduced by 15% in a sale. What is the new price? Okay, so again, if it's reduced by 15%, what percentage have you got left? That will be 85% of 4,000. Yeah, and again, this will give me my answer straight away. So 85% of 4,000, which gives me 3,400. Yep, hopefully you guys got the same. And practice question 4c, Anne buys a dress in a sale. Normal price of the dress is reduced by 20%. The normal price is £36.80. Work out the sale price. So again, if it's reduced by 20%, you've got 80%. Or you need to work out 80%, sorry. You need to work out 80% of the amount. Okay, so again, let's type in my calculator. I get £29.44. Yep, and if you didn't get these answers, do double check where you've gone wrong. Okay, so I do like this second method, it's really good, but you know, if you prefer doing it the first way, doing it in 2 steps is absolutely fine, as long as you get the right answer. That's the main thing. Let's move on to the next section, which is finding percentage change. So this is a topic that's in, obviously, that's in both GCSE and Functional Skills Level 2. It doesn't come up in Level 1 at all, in fact. So, you know, I've never seen it, but it does come up in Level 2. So you need to know this formula, and they're not going to tell you this formula in the exam. The formula for percentage change is, you need to work out the change first, or the difference, over the original value, and that's your fraction. You want it as a percentage, you have to times by 100. Yep, so this is very important, this formula. Do you have to remember this? That change could be anything though. That change could be anything in the question. You know, if you can notice something changing in the question and it's talking about what's percentage, or they're talking about percentage profit or percentage change, anything to do with percentage, and you can see a change happening in the question, definitely you have to use this formula. We don't have to, but I think it's a good idea anyway. For example, Tarek buys a plain plate for £2. He paints it, sells it in a craft fair for £3.75. Find his percentage profit. So this is a big clue here to tell you that profit is just the change, or the difference between how much he bought it for and how much he sold it for. Yes, that's your, technically that's your change in inverted commas. So you know, again, in the question you can see it's gone from £2 to £3.75. Again, there's your difference, there's your change as well. So let's work out the change first. What is the change? So the change is the difference between £3.75 and £2. okay, which is £1.75. Okay, so the £1.75, that represents the profit that he makes. Okay, so now we can put it in our formula. So it's the change over original times by 100. So the change in this case is this bit here, the profit that he made, £1.75, over the original. Well, the original was what he bought it for, which was £2 originally, times by 100. Okay, let's type that in the calculator. 1.75 divided by 2 times by 100, and we get 87.5%. Yep, that's going to be your percentage profit in this case for your answer. So have a go over the next one yourself. It's just one practice question, just to give you an idea. So again, you know, anything like percentage decrease or percentage increase as well, if they mention that in the question, definitely use this formula right here. Just pause it and unpause it when you're ready. Let's have a look at this answer then. So what is the percentage decrease when 1,200 grams is reduced to 900 grams? So again, what's the change? So it's gone from this to this. So you always do the bigger one, take away the smaller one, you know, when you do the difference between two numbers. Yeah, you always do the bigger one, take away the smaller one. Now we can do percentage change, which is change over the original times by 100. Okay, so my change is the 300 grams, that's the difference between them. In fact, let me just delete that bit. 300 over the original, which is this bit here. So it was originally 1,200. We want it as a percentage, you have to times by 100. Let's type that in the calculator. Times by 100. Ooh, you get 25%. That's my answer. Very good. Yep, let's move on to the last section, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, and then I'll get you guys to practice with the extension questions. Obviously, it's going to be different for whether you're doing GCSE or functional skills level 2 for the extension questions. Let's do this last example, and then I'll get you guys to practice in a minute. Finding the original value. Sometimes it's called reverse percentage. You know, when you notice that they're asking for the original price or the original value, definitely it's going to be a reverse percentage question. Okay, so first of all, you determine what percentage of the original value you have. You know how I was saying before with that toaster question, what percentage are they actually talking about? Then you divide the new value by this percentage to get 1% of the original value, and multiply by 100 to get 100% of the original value. Okay, this seems a bit confusing at first, but if you follow these steps, and I'll show you why in a minute, it does actually work every single time. Okay, so let's have a look at this example. A house increases in value by 20% to £72,000. Find what it was worth before the rise. So they're asking what is the original value before it increased to £72,000. We have to work backwards, kind of, if you imagine. And a lot of people would think, oh, let's just work out 20% of this, take it away, there's my answer. Not correct. Yeah, you can't do it that way, I'm afraid, because it's not 20% of this. They did, if you imagine, they did 20% of the original value, which we don't know, and they added it on to the original value, which we don't know, and they got £72,000. Yeah, so if you can't do 20% of this, of the new value, because it's not 20% of the new value, it's 20% of the original, which is going to be different to this, isn't it? So the steps are, what percentage have we got? This £72,000, what percentage does it actually represent? So if you think of the original value is 100%, okay, what it was originally. If we've now increased it by 20%, we've then got 120% of the original. Yeah, so this £72,000 must represent 120% of the original. Yeah, so this is equal to £72,000. Okay, we want 100%. Yeah, the original, which we don't know. So how do you get from this to this? Well, you can't do takeaway. Yeah, you'll have to use very similar to how you do ratio and proportion. How do you get from one value to another? I'm going to do a step in between. That's why I've left a gap here. Okay, so I'm going to work out 1%. So I'm going to go from 120% to 1% instead. Okay, and to do that, I'll have to divide by 120. Okay, so if I divide by 120 on this side, I'll have to divide by 120 on this side as well, because it's proportional. Let's type that in the calculator. Let's do 72,000 divided by 120. I get £600. Yeah, or 600 comes up on my calculator screen, so it's going to be £600. Okay, so we've just worked out 1% of the original. But again, we don't want 1%, we want 100%. So to get from 1 to 100, we'll have to times by 100. Yeah, because it's 100 times bigger. Let me just delete this. And if I multiply this side by 100, I'll have to multiply this side by 100 as well, which is going to be £60,000. Yeah, that's going to be your answer. Yep, so it originally cost £60,000, and if you notice, if you work out 20% of this and add it on, you should get the amount that they were saying, £72,000. So it does work. You know, it's a really good way of doing it. I know that other people do like to do other methods. They use this funny cross multiply thing, which doesn't really make sense to me. But you know, if it makes sense to you and you get the same answer, that's absolutely fine. But for me personally, this just makes sense. It's just logic. You know, you go from 120% to 1, and then from 1 to 100. It just makes more sense to me anyway. Yeah, and hopefully you guys will do it the same way. And the trick is to work out what percentage you've actually got first. Yeah, so what does this actually represent? Yeah, and then you want 100% of the original really for your answer. So just to practice those, do have a go at the next ones yourself. Obviously use your calculators. Try it with this method, you know, do give it a go, and you know, do pause the video, and when you're ready, unpause it. Let's go for the answers then, guys. So practice question 6a, junk shop is having 20% off sale. Lobster statue is £4.88 in a sale. How much was the lobster statue before the sale? So again, it's asking what was it originally. So if it's 20% off, and that's the sale price, so that means technically we've got 80% of the original, haven't we? Yeah, if it's 20% off, this represents 80% of the original. So that's going to be 80% is equal to £4.88. Okay, we want 100%. Let's do my step in between. I could work out 10%. I always usually just work out 1% though. So I always go from 80 to 1. Let's divide by 80 to both sides. Let's do that on the calculator. 4.88 divided by 80. Alright, it looks a bit weird, but let's just go with it. 0.061, okay, and now times by 100. Let's do the same here. And I get 6.1. Yep, so in pounds it's going to be £6 and 10 pence. Practice question 6b. Last week only 65% of students of this class turned up for their GCSE maths lesson. If the actual number of students who turned up was 13, how many students are there in total in the class? Okay, so 65% turned up. If the actual number of students who turned up was 13, so this 13 represents 65%. Yeah, so we've got 65% of the original. Yeah, because 100% haven't turned up. Only 13 have turned up, which represents 65% of the class. So 65% equals 13 students. Yeah, so slightly different to the previous ones. Just be careful with this. So you're not going to take it away from 100. We've got 65%. Yeah, what percentage have we actually got in the class? We've got 65%. We want 100%. Okay, so again, I'm going to do my step in between. It's going to be a bit weird. You're going to have like a decimal of a student. It's a bit unusual, but obviously we're going to have to divide by 65. Sorry, divide by 65 here as well. So 13 divided by 65, which is 0.2 students. Okay, seems a bit weird, but then obviously we're going to times by 100 because we want 100%, and we get 20. Exactly 20 students. Yep, that's my answer. 20 students. Practice question 6c. The price of all rail season tickets to London increased by 4%. Price of a rail season ticket from Cambridge to London increased by £121.60. Work out the price before this increase. So again, just be careful with this one. Don't fall into that trap of thinking that this amount, it's not going to be 104%. Just look at the wording here. It's increased by 4%. Increased by this much. They're both talking about the same thing, aren't they? So this 4% increase is equal to this amount, isn't it? So don't fall into that trap of thinking that this amount is equal to 104%. It's just 4%. This is the increase. £121.60, that's the increase. 4%, that is the increase. So they're talking about the same thing. So we know that 4% is equal to £121.60. We want 100%. And in fact, what I can do is I could work out a step in between, or I can just go from 4% to 100% in one jump. All I have to do is times by 25. Let's do the same here. And I should get my answer. Let me just double check. It's going to be a big answer. 121.6 times by 25. Yeah, I get 3040. Sounds about right as well. You know, season ticket, think about it. Season ticket in London, definitely. It's going to be a big amount, isn't it? So that's my answer. £3,040. Yeah, just be careful with this one. Bit of a tricky one. It can catch a lot of people out. But just think of what is your percentage. And in this case, it's increased by this much. It's increased by this much. They're talking about the same thing. So definitely, this is the 4% that they're talking about. Okay. So yeah, I think with a little practice, you know, do try as many of these questions as you can. I've got some practice questions in the next section. Whether you're doing it for GCSE or functional skills level 2 makes no difference. You know, they're pretty similar questions, but I have got a different set of questions whether you're doing GCSE or level 2. So obviously, if you're doing GCSE, do watch the second part of this video. I'm going to do a separate one for that. And if you're doing functional skills level 2, again, I'm going to do another video separately, which goes on the end of this. So you know, you can download the notes for them separately. But yeah, hopefully you found that useful. And if you did, don't forget to press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And do leave me a comment as well. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.